Anatolos Godolkin served as an Iron Father of the Iron Hands chapter during the 41st millennium. A veteran of over 2 centuries as a senior member of the chapter's spiritual caste, this son of Medusa left his mining clan's landcrawler, the Aes Metallum, at the age of 16 to undertake the trials of an Iron Hand initiate within the highlands of this uncaring world. Given his family heirloom, a bolt pistol by his father to aid his journey to the proving grounds, Anatolos outlived the combined 12 aspirants, some of his own clan, Scarabray, and that of Granislat, who travelled with him across the harsh terrain of Medusa. Armed with 4 clips of ammunition, Anatolos dispatched and 8 rock salamanders to maintain his strength, before scaling a 1,000-meter tall fissure which led to the fabled Land of Shadows. Confronted by a construct of metallic bones, a Deathhood demon droid, Anatolos lost his left hand to the beast, as the dead clan chiefs within the barren city bore witness to his bolt pistol felling the abomination. Collapsing from exhaustion, a skull-faced angel rescued the young man from the embrace of death, his already severed left hand replaced with the customary augmetic which all his kinsmen bore. Anatolos' training as an aspirant to the chapter complete, his ascension was swift as he began to adapt to the tenets of his new creed, ascending to the rank of Iron Father after 2 centuries of service. Revered for his deeds as a chaplain tech marine of the Iron Hands, Godolkin's actions, made during battles such as those waged against Highfleet Leviathan within the Onyx Shard Gardens of Isoptua, belying his legendary abhorrence of weakness in all forms. Losing his secondary heart against the Great Devourer on the world of Hamuf, and an eye during his battle against the Hrud Xenos upon the moons of Gomrath, Godolkin's artifice saw to the modification of his war gear to accommodate the myriad lost organs and wounds accrued from constant warfare. An exemplar of the 9th Vergan clan, known as the Brothers of Iburan, his battles made against the forces of Chaos within a derelict Voidcraft would see to his right hand's replacement 2 years following his left. Outfitted with the 2,000-year-old relic of his clan, the Gauntlet of Menestus by Apothecary Caduceus, its former bearer had been felled by the arch-heretic of Starphalos and henceforth been sealed within the fortress monastery landcrawler of Wayland. Summoned to an emergency Council of Iron moments after his surgery's completion, Anatolos met with representatives of each clan, including Dozef Imanol, venerated dreadnoughts Talumek, Orban Lomax, Banos, Axagaros, Brother Avadan, and several kinsmen unknown to even his long career. Informed of Abaddon the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade, which would soon attack the domains of the Medusa system, though Godolkin demanded to be present to defend his homeworld, the imposing dreadnoughts to which he admired ordered him to lead a mission to the Forge World of Fornax Orbis Majoris. Acceding to their ancient pact made to the Mechanicus of Mars, Anatolos would lead a task force to break the siege of the planet waged by the Death Guard, and meet with Magos Omega Tetronymus Fool for further orders as his kinsmen bled upon the soil of Cadia. Descending upon Manufactory District 12, Ferratorius Prime from their Thunderhawk, the Iron Eagle, the Iron Hands aided the Cadian 108th Wyverns in purging the thralls of Nurgle. Sergeant Vessig leading Anatolos to the senior tech priest, Magos Ludd, the Iron Hands were informed that Magos Fool had disembarked in pursuit of an unknown objective weeks prior. Redeploying to the Argentium mountain range within proximity of the Promethean refineries of District 37, within the Ordinatus Gehenna, Magos Fool attempted to thwart the Death Guard advance of over 21,861 heretics using this revered god machine. Seemingly destined to lose this irreplaceable artifact of the Omnissiah, its destruction would be prevented as the Iron Hands of Librarian Melkor, Sergeant Vincian, Brothers Erastus, Jurgen, Reuben, Ored, Thandar, Tordis, Naltek, Zorian, Cephalus, Momek, Shion, Betorin, Naskin, Gobard, Ebrus, Apothecary Caduceus, and Standard-Bearer Dofus Kansbar took to the field. Godolkin's person galvanized thanks to his Mechanicus Protectiva, which combined a Rosarius and Force Field. His battle servitors, designated Gibeon 12, Job 13, Gigal 674, and Ishmael 192, gave fire support as Godolkin's power axe tore rends through his enemies. Felling the Defiler, known as Ebolus, using a damaged Chimera tank as a means to penetrate its armor, Anatolos reported to Magos Fool and Archmagos Schrödinger within the command bridge of the Gehenna. restraining Fool as he attempted to prevent Schrödinger from firing the Ordinatus Apocalypse cannon upon the position which the Death Guard swarmed. The disciples of the Omnissiah would deny the 14th their prize, rather than allow it to fall into their hands. The destruction wrought, vaporizing thousands of cultists and Death Guard legionaries beneath tides of molten lava. A shockwave of green energy escaped from the target, killing 256 tech priests within exposed portions of the Ordinatus. Archmagos Schrödinger proclaiming Fornax Orbis Majoris to be saved. Fool warned that the Iron Hands must make haste to prevent another site from being secured by heretic forces. Redeployed to the city of Antipax within the mining world of Herod, besieged by cultists led by a rogue psyker, Planetary Governor Phalos Helic had failed in his duty to prevent the rebellion of the so-called Shinari cults. Magos Fool informing Anatolos of the artifact known by the locals as the Babal Stone. This mirror of the relic which the Death Guard had sought could potentially alter the course of Abaddon's campaign. Venturing to the Midian deserts wherein the Babal Stone was located, within the caverns below the sands, cultists conducted a ritual surrounding the strange black obelisk, surrounded by a band of 8 word-bearers Astartes. Confronting the Dark Apostle within the caverns as they attempted to sunder the ritual. Despite Godolkin's best efforts, the word-bearers succeeded in their efforts, forcing the Iron Hands to retreat. Withdrawing to the Iron Hand strike cruiser in orbit, the Ajax, commanded by Iron Captain Strake of Clan Raukan. Strake showed Godolkin a scan of the area of space in proximity to the Eye of Terror, which had recently turned crimson. Dubbed the Warp Storm of Arakan, with the obelisk's destruction, the Warp Storm had expanded, yet thinned in density, the 200-fold growth of the system revealing a long-lost system of space within its center. Magos Fool explaining that a third artifact had been sundered on the world of Hekla prior to the Iron Hand's intervention. The triangular formation of these obelisks had contained the Arakan system within the Immaterium for over 10 millennia. The Moon of Crucible said to be at the heart of the system. Anatolos conferred with Iron Captain Strake that the tale of the Ironclad bore mention of the world of Crucible as the potential resting place of their legendary Primarch, Ferrus Manus. Willing to brave the peril of the Warp Storm in order to race against the Wordbearers to reach Crucible, the Iron Hands arrived within the system to find a ship graveyard of both Xenos and human Voidcraft. Beset by the vast Wordbearer's flagship, the Corruptor of Colchis, Iron Captain Strake distracted the Voidcraft which had once ravaged the soil of Holy Terror during the calamitous final battle of the Horus Heresy, as Anatolos and half of his men deployed to the surface of the Moon of Crucible as the remainder defended the Ajax. The last flight of the Iron Eagle crashed landing as the Warp Storm completely dissipated. Magos Fool aided the Iron Hand's advance, having retrofitted his form to a Chimera tank. Finding upon a 100-meter tall temple, flanked by a statue of a Titan and Space Marine bearing the heraldry of the Iron Tenth, Godolkin entered the tomb of the Ironclad, hoping to find the sarcophagus of his gene-sire. Discovering an army of 81 Titans slumbering within the tomb, such god machines bore firepower enough to raise entire planets, as 40 warlords, 16 warhounds, and 24 reavers stood silent, flanking a 500-kilometer expanse. As Magos Fool attempted to reactivate the largest Titan, known as the Deus Mortem, Godolkin analyzed a gigantic teleportarium capable of transporting such war machines in his efforts to find the temple's Cogitator mind core. Crestfallen to find no trace of Ferrus Manus within the temple, the Iron Hands regardless defended the tomb from waves of Wordbearer thralls, buying time for the tech adepts. Taking heavy casualties, despite their valor, Godolkin ordered a retreat within the temple, unable to prevent cultists and heretics from swarming the Titans closest to the entrance as they fell back to the Deus Mortem. Dwindled to only 7 men, Anatolos ordered what remained of his task force to overload the Titan's power core. His demands to Magos Fool to destroy the Deus Mortem rather than allow it to be claimed by the forces of chaos, countered by a plasma blast to his chest. Falling to the ground as the hole scored through his chest vaporized his primary heart, Fool in an act of desperation integrated with the Deus Mortem, only to discover its nature had already been corrupted by chaos due to its imprisonment within the warp. Dark Apostle Iscariot ending the life of Fool as he declared the Titans of the Ironclad to be his to command. Anatolos rose from his injury thanks to the mechanical redundancies which had long eschewed the need for his heart of flesh. Clashing with the Dark Apostle, the scions of their respective faiths drew blood, the Iscariot gloating that his actions shall see to his ascension as a demon prince once the death of Godolkin had proven his might. Losing his arm, and the gauntlet of Menestus during the duel, Godolkin struck the Iscariot with his free hand, forcing his skull to be punctured by the Titan's Mindcore probe. Falling from the Titan's cockpit as the merge of Heretic and God Machine forced it to convulse, the Iron Hands retrieved their severely wounded Iron Father before using the Tomb's teleporter to escape to the Ajax. Librarian Melkor, now forever changed by his ordeal, endured during their traversal through the warp. His sacrifice allowed his kinsmen to withdraw, as Anatolis ordered Strake to fire Exterminatus payloads onto the tomb of the Ironclad. The Iscariot, reveling in his newly integrated form for a brief moment, as purging flame engulfed the tomb, so too did the closely orbiting Corruptor of Colchis set aflame by the last defiant bombardment of the Iron Tenth. Godolkin's body returned to Medusa, wherein it would be entombed within the Dreadnought chassis left by the martyred Talamech. As among the only 8 such Goliaths of his chapter, Anatolis' litanies, shouted within battle, have never been more fervent. His duty to defend Medusa finally granted as among his chapter's most revered champions. This avatar of Ferrus Manus' wrath, though unable to return his Genefather's body to his homeworld, regardless revived the spirit of the Lightbringer in the hearts of his brethren.